Happy Friday, Baylor College of Medicine and friends of Baylor. A lot to talk about. So we're going to start off with COVID. I was expecting a big surge in COVID, but it doesn't look like it's happening too much. Little increase in test positivity and percent of ED visits, but hospitalizations haven't gone up. In fact, they've been falling. So it looks like it's not going to be a particularly bad COVID season, but we'll see. This is deaths per 100,000. You can see over the years, COVID's become less and less virulent. There's been less deaths, mostly because people have either been exposed or vaccinated. But you can see early on it was really, really bad in 20 and 21. Very, very bad disease. Wastewater trends is probably the best way to look at it, and you can see it was coming down. Last year in February, we had a big uptick. It's still unclear. We might still have an increase, but right now it's not looking like it's going to be too bad. And the dominant strain hasn't really changed. It's still XFG, 85% XFG. One interesting thing that I noticed in the travelers data, remember the travelers data collects nasal swabs or wastewater from planes and airports in major locations for international travel on both coasts. And what you can see is it's really down in terms of the amount of COVID-19. It's very low. But what's been interesting to me is last week I showed you that the XFG percent was pretty much the same as the United States, and it was, but this week it's actually different. So a lot more of NB 1.8.1. Well, remember our relatedness diagram, that was the recombinant called Nimbus that happened in 2024. So it's interesting, most of the evolution of the virus has been in this sort of area where it's now XFG, and it went from Nimbus up to the dominant strains, the flirt variants, and LPs. So, but what's happened here is it looks like it's sort of more in the rest of the world, NB 1.81, or Nimbus. I don't know what that means right now. It's possible that this will become another strain branch, or it may just be a one-time anomaly. I don't know, but we'll keep on top of that in case you're interested. So flu continues to be waning, but it's been a really tough flu season. The number of cases peaked in week 52, right at the end of the year, 12.8 per 100,000. This is the second highest peak since 2010-2011 season. So it was a pretty significant flu season. And notably, much more so in children. And this season, total of influenza-associated deaths was 60. And 90% of those were unvaccinated. So again, people failing to get their kids vaccinated put them at risk, 60 deaths. The CDC classified this year as a very severe year for kids. It's moderate for middle-aged and older people, but it was very severe for kids. So far, 22 million illnesses, 280,000 hospitalizations, and 12,000 deaths from flu. So, again, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, it's sort of waning in the season, but the CDC and I would still recommend, since it's still around, if you haven't been vaccinated, it's not too late to get vaccinated. I would go ahead and do it. The influenza variety is mostly influenza A. You can see A in the yellow, B in the green. And the variety, or the specific genetic variety is H3N2 K clade. That was the one that emerged in the southern hemisphere late in the season and became the dominant strain across the northern hemisphere. Interestingly enough, I mentioned last week that there was a double peak last year. You can see in orange here, two peaks. It's the end of the year, week 52, but then in February there was a peak in 24-25. This season, it looks like it's not going to do that. It's a little too early to feel comfortable, but it looks like this season is going to be a lot more like previous seasons where it peaked and comes down. This is percent of ED visits actually due to influenza. You can see that double peak last year, and it looks like this year we peaked at week 52, very high numbers, but it looks like it's coming down. And in terms of mortality, it was no different from other seasons, but pretty significant. There were a lot of deaths, as I mentioned before, and pediatric deaths showed here. It's still a severe season for kids. So in the news, measles in the news. So far in 2026, there have been 733 cases, 2 outbreaks. I'd like to remind everybody we eliminated this disease in 2000. And we've not eliminated anymore because people aren't getting vaccinated. I have no idea why people don't get their kids vaccinated. So far, 733 cases. Last week's was 588. So it continues to have outbreaks and cases in the United States. Hospitalizations are 3%. 23 of the 733 have been hospitalized. If you look at measles based on the onset of rash, we're now over 1 year, which should define that we are no longer a measles-free country. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate and dumb on our part. This is the number of cases, yearly measles cases. We're already at 733, and it's only February. My guess is we will vastly overtake this and have well over 2,000 cases this year, my guess. This is where they're frequent. There's 72 cases in the Arizona-Utah border, 546 in South Carolina, big outbreak there. And last week there were 2 in North Carolina, there are now 12. So my wife and I had a little bit of a debate about this. We have a 6-month-old child that's not been vaccinated. I think he probably should get early vaccine. I think their pediatrician's going to wait. To me, this is a risk because there are already 12 cases in the state. I would personally go ahead and get them early vaccinated, but I don't want to tell my kids what to do. They don't listen to me anyway. Okay, a couple of interesting papers. One from the British Medical Journal I thought was really fascinating on whether exercise variety is as important as the quantity of exercise. So they took basically a 30-year data set from the Nurses' Health Study and Health Professions Study, also 30 years. It was a prospective cohort study, so remember, it's better than a retrospective look, but cohort studies can only show associations. They don't prove cause and effect. But this prospective study was interesting. There were 70,000 women and 40,000 men, all healthy to start with, so they're free of a number of different diseases. And basically, they defined physical activity by the metabolic equivalent of tasks, by MET units. And then they looked at the different types of tasks and then the total amount of exercise. And it turns out variety of exercise was more correlated than the total amount of exercise. So participants that had the highest variety of exercise compared to those with the lowest variety had a 20% difference in all-cause mortality and a 13 to 40% difference in cardiovascular disease. So it points out that it's not just doing quantity of exercise, but there's an association with doing a variety of exercise. Now, my favorite, of course, was that the only exercise that was not associated with benefit was swimming. And as I've said about swimming, we spent 3 million years of evolution to get out of the water. Why would you ever want to go back into it? Anyway, I'm not into swimming. Now, vaccine news. Humans aren't so smart. We're not getting vaccinated, but we're trying to do good things for other animals. So, turns out, as you all know, I reported on the big avian flu outbreak in seal pups, particularly around the Antarctica and the sub-Antarctica archipelagos. There was a bunch of animals that got H5N1 and died. But there's other varieties. So, this is the king penguin. They're the ones that were getting a lot of H5N1. And so this precipitated some scientists to say, well, maybe we should be vaccinating animals in the wild. And what are the ones that are endangered or need to be vaccinated? Well, there's the koala bears get chlamydia. I don't want to say how they get it. It's a sexually transmitted disease. That's how they get it. Elephants get herpes, as we talked about. Bats get a weird fungus. It's called the white nose disease that kills them. California condors are endangered species, and of course the New Zealand flightless parrot, the kakapo. These are all animals for which vaccine trials are underway. So it's really interesting. In February of 2024, a research team vaccinated 30 king penguin chicks and followed them up with a booster a month later. And during that big outbreak, it didn't prove that it's beneficial, but none of those chicks got infected with H5N1. So very promising. And they've done this now, vaccinated the condor and the flightless parrot, and they've developed an immune response. So that's a good, potential to save those endangered species. Also, in Australia, they have actually developed a vaccine against chlamydia, and it seems to be helping the koala bears. There's a whole line of sexually active koala bears that are lined up at the clinic to get vaccinated. And as you know, we developed here at Baylor an mRNA vaccine for baby elephants, and the 2 elephants that got infected in Cincinnati Zoo were vaccinated, and they both survived. So lots of positives on the benefits of vaccinating endangered species and animals in the wild. Okay. One last thing. Remember the controversy about Tylenol causing all kinds of problems with autism in children? Well, another giant study, major review looking at all different kinds of studies, showed that there's absolutely no risk for giving Tylenol during pregnancy. Does not increase the risk of autism, ADHD, or intellectual disability. So one more piece of misinformation from Washington, D.C. that isn't true. Okay, and I want to end today with a bunch of shout-outs. First of all, congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks in what was the worst Super Bowl ever witnessed, ever. Anyway, in my view, New England shouldn't have been there. Bo Nix, if he hadn't broken his foot. Never mind. Congratulations to Seattle. Also, congratulations to Dr. Mark Montgomery, Professor of Radiology and Chair of Radiology at Baylor Scott & White. Temple campus has been selected to receive the gold medal from the Texas Radiologic Society, recognizing his outstanding contributions to radiology. He's an expert in vascular interventional radiology. And of course, the Chinese New Year starts February 17 and marks the year of the horse, specifically the energetic fire horse, that signifies a period of high energy, ambition, and rapid change. Very exciting year. I'm looking forward to it. Happy New Year to all you who are celebrating that. And of course, Valentine's Day is tomorrow, and that means everyone gets a piece of chocolate. One of our cardiologists, Mahbub Alam, says dark chocolate can be heart healthy since it has flavonoids that help relax blood vessels and lower blood pressure. But let's not overdo it. We've been told now, let's not overdo it. And finally, I have a little treat. Lily is going to be my Valentine, so I have these little things called Don't Go Baking My Heart. And they are, in fact, now talk about heart healthy. This is a little heart within a little heart. And it smells and doesn't smell like bacon. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend. I can't wait to see y'all next week. Oh, look, she's interested.